This has been happening for so long. They don't have a lot collateral culturally as much as people think they do. Doing falsified copyright claims just because you didn't like someone's opinion, that is fraudulent. Welcome back to the Desktop Vanity podcast, where we talk about the beauty industry and pop culture through the lens of power and feminism. It is me, your host, Mila Duffy, and it's time for us to get into it. I'm gonna be so for real, so honest. March Madness is not just for sports, because as a March baby, I can guarantee you that March is the most chaotic month of the year. So many things happening. We're getting our feet wet for the rest of the year. It's spring and it's summer sometimes for some people weather-wise. For some people, it's still winter in March. It is bipolar in nature. And oh my gosh, the beauty industry is going through some type of psychosis. I have such a bad list. Do you not understand how many times I'm trying to film this? I have so much stuff to summarize for you guys, all the way from the lipstick lesbians and their labs getting leaked and the controversies with that, to Glossier seemingly going bye-bye for the 11th time this century, all the way to Cardi B starting her hair growth brand and a bunch of other stuff too. But I bet you're going to wonder, what is in part 2? Well, part 2 is exclusive to my financial subscribers on Substack. In this case, you should know off the gate that in part 2, we'll actually dive a little bit even more deeper into leaked labs, like we're going to do at the end of this episode. We are also going to talk about what on earth is happening with e.l.f. Beauty right now. Oh my gosh, get a grip. And we're also going to talk about problematic and unproblematic beauty trends for spring 2026 and fall 2027. We are also going to discuss the hidden curse that POC beauty founders face when they are starting to indulge into private equity for their brand. What does that have to do with anything? And why are they somehow mapping out the plan for absolute success that works for their white counterparts, yet why are they struggling? The newsflash, it's intersectionality. However, if you're just cool with part 1, I'm giving you a ton of information. We'll have lots of fun with it. And then part 2 will be linked down below for my paid subscribers on Substack. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into it, starting off with Glossier. I know what you're thinking. The world is ending. Glossier, the dynasty, is disappearing. Here's the thing. People are overreacting because I don't think people realize, this is getting serious because I'm getting the pillow now. People don't really realize that this has been happening for so long. Glossier has laid off a lot of their staff this month.
Hey, it's Editing Mila here. If you can't tell already from the news clippings that this has actually been a long time coming, and it's not new at all. And instead, Glossier has been laying off their retail staff and their corporate staff on and off again for the past few years since 2020, which makes sense. But it makes us wonder a few extra things.
That, and you might be wondering, well, if they're doing so poorly, why are they launching a new fragrance?
Some people are saying this smells like an attic. Some people are saying it's the best launch that Glossier has done. I'm going to tell you what I think.
So this is Glossier You Soie, their latest release, which they're calling a solar fragrance. To me, normally I read solar fragrances as very warm, enveloping, kind of baked.
Meet Glossier You Soie. So this is the new Glossier You.
Today was my payday, and it was also my off day, so I went to the mall to smell some perfumes, and Glossier just released their new scent, which I really do.
Okay, I'm here in Sephora with...
Somewhere in the crowd there. According to recent financial reports from them in 2023, the one thing that has been holding them together financially, that's been actually keeping them afloat, is their perfumes. Not their skincare, not their cosmetics, not their accessories, not their pink minimalistic bad bitch behavior. No, it was their fragrances, their fragrance. And that's why they're probably leaning into it a little bit more. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about the controversy with Glossier, besides that, they did close the majority also of their flagship stores, only leaving 3, one in LA, New York, and London. Now, This is kind of a big deal because I can firmly believe that Glossier is not going under. It's just being restructured. We now have a new CEO that is planning on probably just running the thing dry till it makes enough money again so it will have the ability to be self-sustaining. Will we get the Glossier back that we've always known and loved? No, because after doing some market research of my own, I've concluded that they reformulated Glossier U at least suspectively, allegedly, 2 separate times. Now people are saying that it smells like Play-Doh, so they're cutting corners. But other people say that it actually has to do with new regulations happening where a lot of ingredients have just gone banned in the UK and in the EU in general. Therefore, basically, a lot of brands who say they're reformulating for profit are actually reformulating for that market, not just for Martin tastes. That also has a lot to do with why Estee Lauder has been getting reformulated as well. When I said that I had notes, I'm looking at them. This is not an abnormal thing. A lot of direct-to-consumer beauty brands are also closing their flagship stores. This is very, very normal, and it is definitely a recession indicator. According to a spokesperson that told Fast Company, and I quote, "You can expect more surprising programming and innovative experiential moments in our flagship stores that are always rooted in our community. Driven storytelling, which is at the core of our brand," a Glossier spokesperson told Fast Company. Very optimistic, very red flag if it's super optimistic to be so fashionably. That, and according to Yahoo Business, they did close 9 out of their 12 stores, leaving only 3. If you don't know why this is a big deal, and that is, I think it's a big deal because Glossier is basically the first tech beauty startup. It's the first beauty startup where basically it was funded and like it is a beauty brand. And people don't realize this, that when you have a startup, every dollar you raise is a dollar that you owe. So when we have to think about all of the loop-de-loops that Glossier has been through with controversies of a hostile work environment to racism allegations across the board, they don't have a lot collateral culturally as much as people think they do. This is a challenge because we can't help but think of the lipstick index, which is this theory that when there is a recession, non-discretionary spending actually goes up, aka makeup. However, this has been tested multiple times. For example, in the pandemic, most of us were wearing masks. So we weren't all basically decked out in full glam like the showgirl in us. Now, the issue I want to let you know is that despite all these recession indicators with a somewhat high-end beauty brand like Glossier parading as affordable, which is what I like to call it, keep in mind that according to a lot of prestige beauty executives, at least for 2026, there's a projected 3% annual growth in prestige skin and beauty happening. And it's going to be a market that's going to continuously start growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, but gradually. And 3% might not seem like a lot, but it's actually quite a bit. To Larissa Jensen, a Sakura Senior Vice President and Beauty Industry Advisor from WWG Magazine, was quoted saying, "Starting 2026 in a strong position." Basically, according to WWD Magazine, unit sales in prestige grew up to 3% and mass notched a 2% uptick. It's a very solid year, and many industries across total retail units saw usual decline. Ending theory before we move on, Glossier is not shutting down, but it will become a shell of itself. And I do not think it has any cultural collateral to maneuver their way up the ladder like they used to be. And I feel like it's just a good sign that the bigger the rise, the higher the fall. It went through the same thing that most tech companies went through. In fact, just like how there's a dot-com blast or an AI bubble burst, I personally think that the beauty industry is going to eventually have its own bubble burst. And I think we're already seeing signs of it. And I would love to make another video all about that. If you guys want that, let me know. I would be so happy to make that video because that's such a smart idea. Only because I'm exhausted, I will only make that video if you guys want it. A little deep into Cardi B's new hair care brand. I am so excited because this is such a unique concept. Now, traditionally, celebrity beauty brands are known for not doing really well. Like, they'll always eventually disappear. Like, think, for example, Flower Beauty. That was Drew Barrymore's brand. Brad Pitt had a brand. The Rock had a brand. But did we know that? Most people didn't. Gosh, I wonder why. There's a lot of reasons why celebrity beauty brands don't always succeed very well, but I think I have a premonition in my experience analyzing the beauty industry that Cardi B's hair care brand Grow Good will defy the odds. So let's talk about why I think it will be so successful, and I'm going to talk about my premonitions on price, positioning, marketing, and strategy, and where I think it would or should go in order to succeed, and what should we be like really excited about. I want to first get into probably the origin story. Now, Cardi B has been very open online about her hair care journey, like extraordinarily open, especially on TikTok. She's even talked about using very like 2010 Pinterest remedies like onion and juice and onion water. She's also been doing stuff like homemade masks that she trusts so much that she's quoting that she's done it for her own children. We love that. We love a mommy. We love her. Now, on top of that, keep in mind, the only critique that people have gotten from that is hairdressers saying that food molecules are naturally too big for our hair molecules. They will not absorb deep enough into the follicle. They'll just lay on top. So we don't actually get the same nutrients. And on top of that, when it comes to the nutritious compounds of fruits and vegetables, it actually varies by the vegetable. A carrot grown in one part of the world will probably have a different nutritional compound or composition than a carrot grown in a different part of the world. So that's also the hard part with DIY stuff as a whole, is that you're not getting the actual like same consistency as you would if it was in a bottle. Hence, Grow Good. Very simplistic, and I love that. The reason why I'm talking about this and the reason why I explained this origin story is simply because now, the reason why I'm explaining this origin story is greatly because, well, first off, it all started back in 2021 when Cardi B would make tweets talking about hygiene, and now she's talking about hair growth. She's basically now embodying not just celebrity energy, but also expert energy, which is what's going to make this brand successful. Because celebrity energy nowadays is not enough. The parasocial relationship is dying. So now she's not just celebrity, she's also expert. Therefore, we also see this because she is so hands-on in her creation of these products. We've seen it before online, and it does not seem, in my opinion, very performative. This is something that really matters to her. For positioning, I have a strange feeling that they're actually I think they should shoot for drugstore pricing. Because think about it. Have you seen any celebrity beauty brands that have drugstore pricing? No, you have not. You have not. Not one bit. And the reason why is because money, 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 money. But at the same time, the reason why I think that they're going to not just launch with drugstore pricing, but also launch with TikTok Shop really early on is because, number one, the brand is very TikTokified because Cardi B is online so much talking about it. And number two, on top of that, Cardi B has been known for loving drugstore products and talking about drugstore products on her pages. Therefore, we can only assume that hopefully that their stuff should be like under $40. I hope. I really hope. And I really hope because when I look at the packaging, it heavily reminds me of sports drinks like Prime, which makes me also can't help but think of how heavily manufactured this is to be TikTokified in a sense. Now, the reason why I say this because the bottles, it definitely screams like Alibaba. It definitely screams that. And there's nothing wrong with that because you are now positioning it into a very unique way where you are basically putting them in the type of squirt bottles that Nike athletes will squirt in to their face. I don't know how drinking water works. I'm a tea drinker. Yikes, I know, I should drink more water. Anyway, back to it. Basically, that's kind of a big deal because it's not super organically like girly, and I kind of love that. It makes it a lot more universal, which I think is something that we deeply need. They're going to be using products like avocado and a few other things. I think they're going to start using shea in their stuff as well. We don't know too much, but I know for a fact that it'd be really smart for them to launch basically TikTok first or TikTok ready. Some people really want Amazon. I don't think that's going to be smart for them. TikTok was going to basically help them be more to the masses. And I think their pricing is going to actually be a little bit like drugstore related, like middle ground, like $2 sign, not 3, not 4, not 1. It's not going to be Essence, it's not going to be L'Oreal, and it's not going to be Redken. Next, let's talk about how drugstore beauty brands are starting to challenge the gatekeeping anti-aging tech that is being held by luxury beauty brands, aka at-home LED light and microcurrent tools for anti-aging. What if I told you that in January of this year, at, I believe it is the CES Expo in Las Vegas, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, is known for being the biggest, most ideal, like it's a big deal. It is an annual expo for technological advancement, and L'Oreal was there, and they won professional kudos for their new technology for an LED light mask that is gel based. So it will actually mold to your face rather than making you look like Darth Vader. Now, why do I say this is challenging gatekeeping tech? Well, there's a few core things of why I am saying this. First off, home microcurrent facial devices are marketed at a value of USD at 1.5 billion in 2024, with the forecast of growth for that market being up by 9.5% from 2026 to 2033. This is a growing market, so of course, yeah, it's probably really smart for L'Oreal and other places to get in touch. Now, L'Oreal is a conglomerate, it's a big girl company, it's an umbrella company, so most likely we can't assume that it's automatically going to be dirt cheap. Because truth be told, LED light therapy and microcurrent devices actually take a lot of money to develop. They can take anywhere from 20K to 150K for your first prototype. So that's why we see those price tags sometimes. So I can't say confidently that it will be more affordable, but I know that for positioning, it's probably, I'm going to optimistically assume it might be $50 to $100 cheaper than the Shark. And I really hope to have that prediction come true. And I promise you, I will make a compilation of my beauty trend predictions that come true. But this LED light therapy mask will actually start entering the market in 2027 specifically. They also started doing some ingenuity stuff in hair care, but we did not learn a lot about that. So I'd be excited to explore that a little in the future. It's time to get a little spicy because we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about the controversy. We're going to talk about the juice. We're going to talk about leaked labs. And we're going to talk about what you as a consumer have to know before. Now, I want to make it very clear that these opinions are not just my opinions. They are a collection of a variety of different opinions from TikTok, from Reddit, to other forums. They are also divulged from research that I have done over the past few weeks for this episode. So, no copyright, please. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm saying that. Labs was started by the Lipstick Lesbians, which it's not their first beauty brand. They have also started another beauty brand before that did close up shop in 2020. Duh, because it was 2020. Contrary to popular belief, leaked labs, they are meant to be finished products. However, they're just meant to improve them. And I originally thought that you are always being bought the sample that you had to then be the test group for, to then also for them to improve it. I now know that this is actually meant to be a finished product, but that is something to keep in mind. And when it comes to the critique online, they are not being very classy. If you don't already, their business model is leaked labs. They leak the labs. Supposed to be rejected formulas that brands originally did not continue developing. Now, there was a lot of controversy because one of my favorite YouTubers, Jen Love, sweetest, kindest, most darling person in the whole world, who is also a beauty news girly, her video got copyright striked for doing a honest review on the new Flex powder from Leaked Labs. And I know what you're thinking, that happens all the time. Well, here's the thing, sadly it does. And I want you to keep in mind that if you are a business owner doing falsified copyright claims just because you didn't like someone's opinion, that is fraudulent. So honest, that's fraud. Just to put it out there into the world, that is fraud. Either way, what happened is that whether it was the Lipstick Lesbians themselves or the team themselves, whether they knew or did not know, it was shady as Beautiful and Bothered podcast that I also love. They had to come back with another episode to talk about their previous opinion and to say that they did not realize certain things. They also reacted to the State of a Union address, which was a advertisement that was meant to more like save face for the brand. If you don't know already, it is no longer on TikTok. The State of a Union address for Leaked Labs is no longer on TikTok. They took that shiza down. And on top of that, the main critiques and the main pros is that it's a very experimental product, and maybe the world just isn't ready for experimental stuff yet. But there's a reason why brands like to stick to rudimentary stuff. It's because people would like it. And I personally think that if I can afford the $40 for those little mini things, I would totally do it. The problem is though, is that when people actually weighed them, they were actually super, super light. They were barely even like, they were minuscule. The majority of the packaging was the actual weight. So you were paying basically $40-ish for air. Also, at the Beautiful and Bothered podcast, they made a great analogy saying that after 2 weeks of them using it, when they left it, it was a petri dish. And that basically it didn't absorb liquid as well as it should. Other critique shows that it doesn't work well with brushes and that it only works well when it's wet, and it's also very fragile as well. From a beauty, marketing, and sales background, I can confidently say that the brand has potential, but I would really love it if they spin this and really leaned into it being a lab sample, because I thought the whole point was that it was a lab sample. Turns out it is meant to be a finished product, but actually convert it into a actual viable product with proper, nicer packaging and launch the brand, and having this be the test, which I think felt very like too on the nose in that sense. But when I say on the nose, I mean like when you boop a shark on the nose to get it to swim away kind of a deal. I don't know how to describe it. It was kind of snarky, the State of the Union address, so I understand why they probably had to take it down. So the hole in the story is that people don't realize this, but there's probably a reason why other beauty brands decided to not go with those formulas from those labs. That's the hole in the story that people don't realize. Why were they not being released in the first place? Probably because they might have just not been good enough at that moment in time. And it was a limited release. And I'm aware that starting a brand, even as an influencer, is still very risky. And I don't know if they're doing it on their own. I should probably do better and look at that. But otherwise, I can confidently say that for my premonitions, I suspect that for their brand to succeed, it might need to do a relaunch. This was the pre-launch. The leaked labs have now been labified, and then maybe do like a vlog, and then like host a little party, and maybe do in the party like make a toast and say sorry, cheers, apple cider for everyone, sparkling, because we're classy like that. Joking, because I hate the taste of alcohol. I don't like to drink. If people like to drink, that is so on them. I love that for you. I just will most likely be the designated driver. Part 2 will be exclusive to my Substack subscribers on the Desktop Vanity Substack. And we're going to talk even more about leaked labs, the business and consumer-oriented beauty trends to look out for summer 2026 and fall 2027. We're also going to talk about the hidden curse that POC beauty founders face when they are being acquired by private equity compared to their white counterparts. And thank you to all my peeps that decided to be here for this full episode and who decided to join me today. If you want to get the full video, aka part 2, then consider becoming a paid subscriber on my Substack, Desktop Vanity, where it will be there, and it will also be linked down below in this description box. And also keep in mind, everything that I talked about, almost everything, is based off of a previous Substack essay that I've written on my Substack. That is usually, by now, I think most of them are free. I will also link those down below. And enjoying and just live, laugh, loving. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing spring. And I hope to see you guys on the stack. See you there.